The red dust settled slowly in the thin Martian air. The sun, small and distant, cast long shadows over the deep crater known as Site 17. This was where the crew of Terra Nova excavation team had been working for almost 5 months. Most of them believed they would only find rocks, soil, or ancient frozen water. But today was different. Dr. Mira Han stood silently near the edge of the dig site. Her visor reflected the sharp curve of something large, too large. At first, she thought it was just another rock formation. But as they cleaned it carefully with microbrushes, the truth became clear. It was a bone. Thick, blackened by age, and nearly 6 meters long. It curved like a massive rib. But it was not from any earth creature. It had hollow channels and metal-like threads running through it. "This isn't Martian," Myra whispered inside her helmet. "What do you mean?" asked Ravi, her assistant. "It's engineered. But also organic. It's alien." All around the site, more bones were being revealed. Giant claws, pieces of jawbones filled with sharp teeth. The size of the skeleton was terrifying. Whatever it was, it had once been a giant apex predator. But why was it dead? And why were there dozens of them? Scene 2, the strange signal. 2 days later, while analyzing the excavation, Ravi's computer picked up something strange. A low-frequency signal was coming from deep below the bone field. "It's repeating," Ravi said, eyes wide. "Old. Very old." Dr. Han adjusted her headset. The signal played in a soft static pulse. "Warning. This planet is cursed. They came. They killed us all. Fear the humans." Silence followed. Everyone in the lab froze. Myra's heart pounded. "Play that again." Ravi played it 5 more times. It didn't change. A chill passed through the room. Not just because it was cold, but because something deep inside them said, this was not a warning to humans. It was a warning about them. Scene 3, Earth, emergency contact. The signal was sent to Earth for deeper analysis. Within 12 hours, Mira received a message from Global Science Command. The email was simple: immediate transmission confirmed. Language matched with pre-human cosmic database. Fossils matched with extinct species, Zarakai. They were known as apex predators. You are not authorized to release further data. Wait for recovery team. Mira sat alone in her lab tent, staring at the frozen message on her screen. Zarakai. She had read the legends in old classified records. The Zarakai were believed to be the deadliest species to have ever existed, conquerors of galaxies, tall as buildings. Their skin was harder than metal, and they needed no machines. They were machines built for war. They ruled for millennia, but they vanished completely. No trace. Until now. Scene 4. Bones that shouldn't exist. The team continued digging. More Zarakai skeletons appeared. Some were pierced by strange weapons, made of crystal and obsidian. Others had burn marks across their skulls. Mira examined the position of the bones. They were not buried respectfully. They were thrown, scattered, some shattered into pieces. This was not a battlefield. It was a mass grave. And humans were not even supposed to have left Earth during the time Zarakai ruled the stars. So, what happened? One skeleton had a strange object lodged in its chest cavity. It wasn't Zarakai design. Mira gently removed it and held it under her helmet light. It looked like a primitive spearhead carved stone wrapped in ancient wire. Human design, but it was lodged inside the ribs of an alien predator 10 times larger than any man. Scene 5. The message hidden in the signal that night. Ravi cracked a second layer of the signal. "There's more," he whispered. "There's a second voice beneath. The main message, slower, hidden." He played it. It was low, almost a whisper. "We believed ourselves unstoppable. We were wrong. They walk like prey, but strike like death. We fell before them. We do not know how. If this signal is heard. Hide." Ravi turned pale. Mira leaned. back in her chair, shaking her head slowly. "If this is real," she said, "humans did not survive an invasion. We repelled it." "We destroyed them," Ravi said. "But how?" "Humans had no ships back then. No weapons like this." "Maybe we didn't need them," Mira replied. Scene 6, the deep chamber on day 12. Digging reached a lower level beneath the main bone field. The team found a sealed chamber made of smooth black stone material unknown. There was no door, only a circular pattern in the center dot when touched. The stone glowed dimly and released pressure. The chamber opened with a slow hiss. Inside were 6 full Zarakai corpses, perfectly preserved, sitting in armor. Each one had a hand on its weapon, as if they died in battle. But the room was sealed. From inside, they weren't hiding, they were running. On the far wall was a carving. Simple lines, 6 tall figures. In front of them, a small figure, human shape, holding a burning object in one hand, and a blade in the other. Dot around the human figure, stars collapsed, and fire rained down. Mira stared at it for a long time. "They feared us," she whispered. Scene 7. Earth reacts back on Earth. The world was watching. The news hadn't broken to the public, but within military and science networks, people were whispering. Had humanity once defeated the greatest predators in the galaxy? How? Why? Had someone helped us? Or was there something inside humans, something even they didn't know about, that made them deadlier than anything else? The Global Defense Council sent a private team to Mars. Their orders were simple: recover the site, secure the fossils, silence the story. But it was too late. The signal had been picked up by other sources, by alien satellites hidden around Mars. Someone or something else was now listening too. Scene 8. A warning from the past as the team prepared for evacuation. The signal changed. It began playing a third message. The voice was different, calm, cold. "If this message is heard by any race who dares enter the Red World, know this: we, the Zarako, feared no enemy. But the ones from Terra, they hunted us, they learned. They became worse than we ever were. They are the end. Do not awaken them." The lights in the excavation tent flickered. Dr. Mira stood frozen. Was it a message to warn the galaxy? Or was it a message to warn humans themselves? Scene 9. Final discovery: the human skeleton before evacuation. Mira decided to go back one last time. She returned to the lowest chamber. There, hidden behind one Zarakai corpse, she found a final, smaller skeleton, human in shape, but it was not modern. It was ancient. Around 30,000 years old. It held a Zarakai blade in one hand and a scorched flag in the other. The flag was red and black, with an unknown symbol, 6 circles around one central eye. No name. No eye. Just bones. Ravi stared in shock. "That's a human." Mira nodded slowly. "Looks like we were here before. But that's impossible. Not anymore." Final scene. Transmission echoes as the Martian winds blew once more across the now abandoned Site 17. The signal continued playing into the void. Its warning drifted through space. Far beyond the solar system, on a forgotten station orbiting a dark star, a silent machine lit up for the first time in thousands of years. It received the signal. Its single red eye blinked open, and in an ancient language long dead, it whispered, "Humanity has returned." Scene 1. Earth, the hidden archive, the halls beneath. Geneva were cold and quiet. Dr. Mira Han stood before a thick steel door marked Classified Level Omega. Behind it was the archive, a secret global database of alien encounters, ancient tech, and lost history. After the Mars discovery, Mira had been granted limited access with one goal: find out what the Zarakai really were. Inside the dark archive, screens flickered. A voice greeted her. "Welcome, Dr. Mira Han. Accessing files on Zarakai." Level black. A video played. Old footage. grainy. A single Zarakai stood on a battlefield, taller than a truck, armored like a tank, moving with terrifying speed. Its claws ripped through metal. Its voice boomed in a language Mira didn't recognize. Entire alien armies ran from it. The video froze. A voiceover explained, Zarakai, once believed to be extinct apex predators, strength beyond logic, intelligence equal to or greater than humans, once controlled 37 star systems, known to kill entire planets. Mira whispered, then who stopped them? The file continued, species status, extinct, last known signal, Mars, Site 17. Scene 2, a warning. Ignored Mira reported her findings to the Global Science Council. But instead of worry, they were excited. These bones prove humans were powerful even in the ancient past, said Chairman Dre. It means we were never the weak ones. Maybe we were always meant to rule. Mira shook her head. That's not what this means. She looked at the message again. Fear the humans. It wasn't a praise dot, it was a warning, she added. If the Zarakai were so strong, and they feared us, why don't we remember any of this? No history, no books, no legends. Dre leaned forward. Maybe someone erased it. Scene 3, the Zarakai legacy in a hidden desert lab in Australia. Military scientists examined the Zarakai bones recovered from Mars. They had discovered something shocking. The bone structure was part organic, part synthetic. Zarakai weren't just animals. They were built designed for war. A new report was sent to Mira. It read, Zarakai were bioengineered. Some parts show signs of genetic upgrades. Weapons were fused into their bones. Internal armor reinforced. Lungs, multi-tier vision, emotional suppression. In other words, perfect hunters. The report ended with a question. What kind of species builds monsters like these, and then loses to humans? Mira didn't have an answer. Scene 4. Other eyes watching in a dark corner of the galaxy. Thousands of light years away. An alien race known as the Velanai watched the human transmission. They had been monitoring Earth for centuries, never interfering. Always silent. When the Zarakai signal was received, their High Council panicked. They found them, one elder said. The bones? No, the truth. The Velanai remembered what most species had forgotten. Long ago, the Zarakai had come to Earth, expecting to dominate the planet within days, but they never returned. No Velanai dared to ask why. Until now, they've awakened the story, the elder said. Now. Others will remember too. Scene 5. The historian speaks on Earth. Mira found the only person who might know more. Dr. Elias Kale, an exo-historian who claimed that ancient human myths were really memories from space. She met him in his quiet library under the Alps. They called them demons, Kale said, showing ancient scrolls. But they weren't. They were Zarakai. He pointed to cave paintings, massive creatures, clawed hands. Human warriors standing against them with fire and blades. These caves are over 30,000 years old. Every continent has the same images. How is that possible? Mira stared in silence. Humans fought them, Kale said softly. And somehow we won. Scene 6. A hidden Warkale explained his theory. Long ago, when humans were just hunter-gatherers, the Zarakai came to Earth. Maybe they thought we were easy prey. But we're not, Mira said. No, Kale agreed. We adapt. We learn. That's our true power. He continued. Something happened. A war, maybe short, maybe long. But in the end, we pushed them back. Maybe even killed them all. Why don't we remember? Mira asked again. Kale's eyes darkened. Because someone erased the memory. Not just from books. From our DNA. They didn't want us to remember how dangerous we truly are. Mira stepped back. Who would do that? Kale said one word. Us. Scene 7. Zarakai return. While Mira and Kale searched the past, something else was happening in the present. Deep in the asteroid belt, a mining crew went missing. The last video they sent showed something impossible. A ship. Black, sharp, silent. Zara Kai design that had been floating dead for thousands of years. Until now Earth's defense system sent a scout drone. It found the ship. Its engines were cold. No life signs, but one thing was strange. The ship was slowly turning toward Earth, and its signal had changed. It was no longer a warning. It was a lock-on. Scene 8. Military debate. Earth's leaders gathered. Some wanted to destroy the Zaraka ship immediately. Others said to wait, study it. But Mira had a different opinion. We shouldn't be asking what it's doing. We should ask what it remembers.
What?
If it knows how they died? What if it tells the others? Chairman Dre smirked. Maybe that's good. Maybe they'll know not to mess with us. Mira slammed her hand on the table. You don't get it. We're not dealing with animals. The Zarakai were smarter than us. If we beat them once, they'll study us now. They'll adapt, just like we did. Silence filled the room. Scene 9. Humanity's nature. Mira returned to her lab and stared at the pictures on the wall. A Zarakai skull. The Mars carvings. The cave drawings from Earth. It all pointed to one terrifying truth. Humans had been underestimated. Before, because we looked weak, small, primitive. But that was the mistake. We don't win because we're strong. We win because we refuse to lose. We learn. We change. We evolve. That's why the Zaraka feared us. Not because we were monsters, because we were something worse. We were human. Scene 10. Cliffhanger. The real enemy. As Mira walked through the lab hallway, Ravi ran to her with a tablet in his hand. We found something, he said breathlessly. What? The Zarakai ship. It didn't come here by accident. He pulled up a digital map. There's a signal trail. Faint but real. It came from Earth. Myra's eyes widened. Someone sent for them? Ravi nodded. Yes, but not just that. He zoomed in on the coordinates. It came from Antarctica. Mira whispered, the old frozen ship. Ravi looked scared. Someone on Earth wants them back. Final scene, a new threat thousands of miles away, in the icy darkness of Antarctica. Something moved beneath the ice, a hidden lab. Abandoned for decades. Inside, ancient machines hummed to life. Screens lit up. One screen showed a rotating Zarakai skull. Another showed Earth with targeting coordinates. A robotic voice spoke. Zaraka's life form returning. Initiate Phase 2. Reawaken Protocol. Apex Memory. Something deep under the ice roared. Not human. Not Zarakai. Something else. Scene 1. Antarctica. The silent grave. Cold wind howled across the frozen continent. Buried beneath 200 meters of ice was an ancient Zarakai ship. The same one that sent the signal to Mars. Forgotten by time. It was hidden beneath a glacier known as Zone-0. Now, a special military team had arrived to investigate. Their boots crunched against the snow as they marched toward the icy cliff face. The ice was unusually smooth and warm to the touch. Something inside was alive. Colonel Shaw, the mission leader, pointed to the scanners. There's a heat source, moving. Could be a geothermal pocket, the tech officer said. No. Shaw replied. This is artificial. Scene 2, inside the ice there. Mira Han watched the feed leave from Geneva. She saw as the soldiers drilled into the glacier and entered a dark, smooth tunnel. Clearly not natural. Alien metal shaped the walls. Frozen symbols glowed faintly under their flashlights. Ravi stood beside her. How long has this ship been here? Over 30,000 years, Mira replied. It landed when humans still lived in caves. And now it's waking up, Ravi said. Inside the tunnel, the soldiers found something that made everyone hold their breath. A Zarakai skeleton, fully armored. Perfectly preserved. It was kneeling, as if waiting, but its head was gone. Scene 3. The Room of Death. Deeper inside, the team discovered a chamber filled with bodies, but not Zarakai, human bones. Dozens of them. Small, fragile compared to the giant aliens. Yet something was wrong. Some skeletons had alien weapons clutched in their hands. Others wore armor that looked half Zarakai, half human. What is this? Shaw whispered. This isn't just a grave, Mira said through the coms. It's a battleground. Suddenly, one of the lights flickered, then another. A low hum vibrated through the ship walls. The ice cracked. Something had awakened. Scene 4. The cryocamber opens. A steel door, covered in frost, slowly slid open. Inside were 6 large pods glowing. Blue. 5 were empty. One still held a figure, a Zarakai warrior, alive in cryosleep. The body inside began to twitch. The lights on the pod turned red. Warning alarms blared. Abort! Colonel Shaw yelled, but it was too late. With a hiss of steam, the pod opened. The Zaraka stepped out. Even in the heavy armor, its body moved like a beast. Muscles twitched. Claws curled, eyes lit with golden fire. Everyone raised their weapons. It looked at them. And then did something unexpected. It fell to one knee. Scene 5. Memory fragments in Geneva. Mira stared at the screen. It's not attacking. Maybe it's weak, Ravi guessed. No, it's afraid. The Zarakai warrior looked around the room, breathing heavily. Then it spoke. Where am I? Its voice echoed through the ship. Mira replied, You are on Earth. You were asleep for thousands of years. The Zarakai froze. Then it whispered, No, not again. It collapsed to the ground, clutching its head. Flashbacks played on the screen from the pod's memory. Human warriors leaping through fire, alien ships crashing in the sky, Zarakai screaming in fear. A single human figure with glowing eyes. Then darkness. Scene 6. Back in Geneva later. The Zarakai was sedated and moved to a secure lab under Geneva. Mira met it face to face in a high-security room. You are the last of your kind, she said softly. The Zarakai opened its eyes. Its voice was low and cold. No, I am not the last. I am the only one who remembers. Remembers what? She asked. The Zarakai growled. Your kind. You were not prey. You were not weak. He pointed a claw at her chest. You were monsters, and we never understood how we died. Scene 7. The genetic bombshell. Back in her lab. Mira examined a blood sample from the frozen ship's human skeletons. Ravi stared at the DNA results. Stunned. These humans. They're not modern. They're ancient? Mira asked. Yes, from 30,000 years ago. But here's the strange part. He pulled up another file. They share DNA markers with modern humans. They were our ancestors. But they also have markers we don't understand, alien ones. You mean they were changed? Yes, Ravi said. They fought the Zarakai and became something else. Mira whispered, maybe that's why we survived. Scene 8. The hidden enemy at a military base in Alaska. General Reyes examined old satellite logs. Something had activated the cryoship in Antarctica before the Mars. Signal. An internal hacker. A signal sent from inside Earth system. It wasn't aliens, Reyes said. Someone on Earth woke the Zarakai up. On purpose, but why? Back in Geneva, Mira was looking at an old cave painting again. This time, she noticed something she missed before. Behind the human warrior was another shape, shadowy, tall, with glowing eyes. It wasn't Zarakai, and it wasn't human. It was something else. Something hiding in the past. Scene 9. A new voice. That night, the Zarakai in the lab began to speak again. To himself. In his language. Mira listened through the translator. We never knew. They looked weak. They were fast, angry, united. They had nothing. And still, they hunted us. We died not because we were stupid. We died because they were designed to kill. Mira leaned in. Who designed us? The Zarakai. Looked at her, his eyes filled with fear. I don't know. But if you find them, run. Scene 10. Final twist. The eye beneath back in Antarctica. As scientists cleaned the last chamber of the ship, they found a strange vault. Inside it was not a weapon, not bones, but a mirror. Made of a black glass-like material, when touched. It showed not reflections, but memories. And not of Zarakai, of humans. Voice played as the mirror glowed. Prototype 12 activated. Species, human. Purpose, Counter-Apex Initiative. Status, incomplete memory lock. Observation continues. The lead scientist screamed. This isn't a Zarakai ship, it's a human testing lab. Suddenly, alarms blared. A countdown appeared. On the wall, Phase 2 initiating, memory unlocked. Final scene. The past awakens in Geneva. Mira's screen blinked. A new file opened. Labeled Project Slayer. Inside were reports, dates, and one terrifying sentence. 30,000 years ago, humanity was modified to destroy the galaxy's most dangerous predators. They succeeded. She scrolled down to the end. Result, Zarakai, extinct Velani, hidden. Others watching humans, forgotten what they are. Then the final line, but they will remember. Suddenly, the Zarakai in the next room roared. They are coming, not to kill you. To wake you up. Scene 1. Geneva, the Forbidden Files DR. Mira Han sat alone in the underground lab. Staring at her screen. The file labeled Project Slayer had unlocked a storm of questions. Inside it were records written in a strange mix of ancient languages and machine code. They spoke of an experiment one. Not carried out by aliens, but by something older. Something that no longer had a name. Ravi leaned over her shoulder. This doesn't make sense. Are you saying someone built us? Mira nodded. Or changed us. Long ago. But why? Mira pointed at a highlighted sentence. Humanity was designed to counter threats that even the stars feared. Scene 2. Genetic clues in a genetics lab outside Berlin. Professor Cade was analyzing DNA samples from the ancient humans found in Antarctica. What he found shocked him. There are pieces in their DNA that don't exist in any other species, he told. Mira over video call. Not in animals, not in modern humans. Not even in aliens we've studied. What do you mean? It's like someone inserted a command, a sleeping code, locked away for thousands of years. A code for what? He looked nervous. To awaken something. Strength? Memory? Maybe both. Then he added one more detail. The code is still inside modern humans. Dormant. Scene 3. The return of the carvings. Meanwhile, strange cave paintings began appearing all over the world, not newly made, but suddenly revealed, as if uncovered by time itself. In Brazil, Iceland, Mongolia, the same image, a human figure standing, tall above alien beasts, fire around it, eyes glowing, arms outstretched. Behind the figure were 6 circles, and in the center, an eye. These symbols matched the burned flag found on Mars, held by the ancient human corpse. Across cultures, across time, the same message was carved. They feared what we would become. Scene 4. Voices from the past. The cryo-surviving Zarakai, now called Sarvak, slowly recovered under heavy guard. He no longer resisted interviews. Instead, he warned, "You think your kind is peaceful, weak, curious," he said, staring at Mira. "But in our last days, we saw what humans truly are." He described a final battle, Zarakai ships burning in the sky, whole planets falling, human warriors who could fight for days without sleep, who felt no fear, who didn't stop until every predator was dead. Sarvak whispered, "We were made to rule. You were made to end rulers." Scene 5. The mark of the Slayers back on Earth. A discovery in Siberia shocked the world. Archaeologists uncovered a 30,000-year-old village buried in permafrost. Inside, bodies were preserved, not just humans, but Zaraka corpses, killed by ancient weapons. But one skeleton was different. It wore armor of mixed design, part alien, part unknown. On its skull was a carved mark, 6 circles and 1 eye. The same symbol found on Mars. Ravi reviewed the DNA. It matches modern humans, he said. Mira replied. So this village was full of Slayers. Ravi nodded. And they were winning. Scene 6, the memory device in Antarctica. The strange black mirror found inside the ship was finally activated. A burst of code filled the screens in Geneva. It was not language. It was memory. Visuals began to play. Humans training, evolving, fighting. But the trainer wasn't human. It was a machine. Humanoid, tall, emotionless. Its voice spoke in calm tones. Subject 42, blood trait activated. Subject 43, combat reflex upgraded. Purpose, terminate apex-level threats, Mira whispered. It wasn't evolution. It was programming. They turned us into weapons, Ravi said. Living weapons. Scene 7. The other races remember across the galaxy. Other alien civilizations, once powerful, now hiding, began reacting to Earth's activity. The Velani, once wise scholars of the stars, had kept records of the ancient war. Their high seer stood before her council. They were peaceful, yes, she said. But that peace was not natural. The humans forgot what they were made for. One young Velani asked, should we warn them? No, the seer replied. We should hide. If they awaken, we won't stand a chance. She looked up at the sky, and they are already waking. Scene 8, internal division. Not everyone on Earth saw the awakening as danger. Some military leaders and tech corporations believed this old blood could be used. A secret group, calling themselves the Architects, began experimenting on activating the dormant Slayer gene in modern soldiers. One of them, Commander Ives, said, if we were made to kill monsters, let's finish the job. Let's become Apex. But they didn't understand the full risk, because once awakened, the Slayer blood does not follow orders. It follows instinct, and its only instinct is to eliminate threats, even if those threats are human. Scene 9, the first awakening in a secret lab in New Mexico. A young soldier named Kane volunteered for the Slayer program. The procedure began. Heat, pain, light, then silence. When he woke, his eyes were glowing silver. His heartbeat was stronger. His body healed in seconds. But something else had changed. His voice was cold, detached. And when shown images of a Zarakai, he didn't flinch, he smiled. They were afraid of me, Kane said. Then he added something nobody had taught him. 6 circles, 1 eye, I remember now. I was born for war. Scene 10, final twist. The deep enemy as Earth prepared for a possible second war with alien predators. Another danger stirred beneath the ice of Antarctica. In the chamber below the Zaraka sea ship, beyond the black mirror, was a second vault. It unlocked. Inside was no weapon, no corpse, just a machine. Still active, ancient. It played a final message. Phase 2 complete. Slayers have begun awakening. Phase 3 loading. Project Edenfall, total reset protocol. Suddenly, the screen in Geneva showed a new star map, not of space. But of Earth's core, and deep beneath the surface, something was moving. Not Zarakai. Not human. Something older than both. Something that built both. Scene 1. The dark silence of space far beyond the edge of the solar system. A Zarakai fleet drifted in silence. Their massive warships, scarred by ancient battles, glided slowly through the void. Commander Vrath, leader of the surviving Zarakai, stood on the bridge of the flagship Khazar, his eyes sharp and glowing. Red scanned the stars. "We lost everything," he whispered. "But Earth is still here." "Reports say humans are weak," his second officer said. Vrath shook his head. "They were never weak." Scene 2, Memories Lost. Payne ignored the fleet approached Earth's orbit. Vrath tried to recall the war. His mind was clouded. The final battle, his memories fragmented. He saw flashes of fire, screams, and the faces of humans glowing with power. "They were not what we expected," he growled. "We will reclaim our honor." The fleet prepared to attack, but deep inside, Vrath felt a question. Why had they lost? Scene 3. Earth, a new dawn back on Earth. The military prepared for contact. Commander Ives stood in the control room, watching the incoming fleet on the big screen. "Kane is ready," Ives said. "Slayers are waking up all over the world." Mira. Han joined them. "We have to warn the Zarakai," she said. "They don't understand what humanity has become." Ives smiled coldly. "They will learn soon enough." Scene 4. First contact as the Zarakai fleet entered Earth's atmosphere. Alarms rang. Cities went into lockdown. Kane and other Slayers were deployed. The skies filled with warships. The Zarakai sent a message. "Humans of Earth, we return. Remember the past or suffer the future." Kane stepped forward, his eyes shining silver. He spoke for humanity. "We remember. And we are no longer your prey." Scene 5. Clash of Titans. The first battle was brutal. Zarakai warriors leapt from their ships, roaring. Slayers moved with superhuman speed and strength. Each side fought with fury. Explosions lit the sky. Kane fought Vrath face to face. "Why do you come?" Kane demanded. "To reclaim our empire," Vrath growled. "Your empire is gone," Kane said. "And so are you." Scene 6. The truth revealed during the fight. Vrath was captured. In a secure room. Mira showed him the ancient files. Truth came out. Humans were designed to end the Zarakai, not just by chance, but by intent. Vrath's anger turned to fear. "What else do you hide?" he asked. Mira smiled. "Your memories, your past, and the reason you failed." Scene 7. Awakening the past. Meanwhile, Kane's powers grew. He could hear voices in his mind, echoes from ancient Slayers. They told him stories of battles, losses, and victories. He learned that humans once ruled the stars as warriors designed to fight monsters, but after winning, they forgot their own strength. Now, the old blood was waking. Scene 8. The hidden threat unknown to both sides beneath Earth's surface. Something moved. The ancient machine from Antarctica. Activated fully. It sent signals deep into Earth's core. Something stirred. A power older than humans, and Zarakai. It watched. It waited. Scene 9. The unseen enemy General Reyes received a secret message. Warning. Unknown entity detected beneath the planet. Possible threat level extreme. He called Mira and Ives. "This isn't just a war between species," Reyes said. "Something else is here." Mira looked at Kane. "We need to prepare for what comes next." Scene 10. The future begins. The battle in the skies raged on, but both sides knew this was only the beginning. The old war was over. New war was starting. One that would decide the fate of Earth and the galaxy. And somewhere deep inside every human, a voice whispered, "Remember who you are." Scene 1. The Zarakai defeat in a sealed bunker under Geneva. Vrath, the Zarakai commander, stood in chains. He was silent, but his eyes were watching. Dr. Mira. Han stood in front of him. "You still don't remember how your kind lost, do you?" Vrath growled. "We were not defeated by strength. That much I know." She nodded. "Because it wasn't strength that beat you. It was something else." She tapped on a console. A video played. Ancient, blurry footage, cave drawings, Zarakai fleeing, and one consistent image. A human standing above burning stars, holding a strange, glowing weapon. "The first Slayer," Mira said. Scene 2. A mission into ruins, including Mira, Kane, and Ravi boarded a stealth ship headed for the Zarakai homeworld, now abandoned for 30,000 years. The goal, to find out what really happened in the final days of the war. As they approached the dead planet, they saw massive scars across the surface. Entire cities were turned to ash, monuments shattered, skies still filled with the remains of war. No signs of life, Kane said, scanning the surface. Then who killed them? Mira asked quietly. Scene 3. The Temple of Memory. The team landed near a ruined city, once called Karvosha, capital of the Zarakai Empire. Deep inside a broken palace, they found something strange, a room untouched by time. Inside, murals covered the walls, tall alien warriors kneeling before a human figure. This is no longer a war record, Mira sighed. It's worship. Ravi read an inscription. We thought we were the gods, but then death wore human skin. Kane stood silently. He could feel something stir inside him, like a voice echoing through blood. Scene 4. The archive room. They found a sealed archive. Using Zaraka codes Vrath had whispered before they left. The team opened the doors. Inside, digital memories played, holograms of old Zarakai meetings, panicked commanders, desperate scientists. One file stood out. Operation Last Roar. It showed the final moments before their extinction. A council room. Zarakasi leaders arguing. We must leave this galaxy. They cannot be stopped. But they are still primitive. No, they're not. They are made for one thing: ending us. Then a final line was recorded. We fought monsters across the stars, but nothing ever looked at us like humans did. Not with fear, but with understanding. Scene 5. Truth in the dust. As the team walked outside the temple, Mira looked at Kane. You feel it, don't you? She asked. Kane nodded. The voices, the memories. I don't know how, but they're in me. Because you're not just human anymore, Mira said. You're a reflection of what we used to be. But who made us that way? Ravi asked. And why? Kane replied in a voice that wasn't quite his. Because the galaxy needed a balance. And balance requires something terrifying. Scene 6. The Watchers revealed themselves as the humans explored further. A pulse hit their scanners. A ship approached, sleek, silver, silent. Not Zarakai, not human. The Velanai had arrived. The team braced for attack, but the ship stopped and opened its ramp. A single figure stepped out, a tall alien with white skin and glowing blue eyes. I am Ailer of the Velanai, it said. Mira stepped forward. You've been watching us. Ailer nodded. For 30,000 years, waiting. Scene 7. Galaxy's greatest fear. Inside the Velanai ship, Ailer showed them something no human had seen. A map of the galaxy, marked with colors. Blue for peaceful worlds, red for war zones, black for dead systems. But around Earth, nothing. A large blank zone. No one came near, Ailer said. Not after the Slayers rose. You feared us, Mira said. Ailer didn't deny it. You were not meant to win, but you did. And then you forgot. That was the only reason we let you live. Kane stood tall. But we're remembering now. Ailer looked at him closely. That's why we came. Scene 8. The Edenfall Protocol. Back on Earth, General Reyes monitored strange signals from the planet's core. The machine under Antarctica had gone quiet. Then it activated again, sending one message. Edenfall Protocol preparing. Memory. Core unlocking. Time to return to purpose. Suddenly, earthquakes began around the world, small, controlled. Not natural. Something underground was moving. Old machines waking up after thousands of years. Not alien. Human made. Or made for humans. Scene 9. The deeper enemy. Ailer showed the humans a final message. A recording from a lost species, older than Velanai or Zarakai. It spoke of a race that lived in the dark, between stars, builders, Shapers. They had created the Zarakai to rule, and when that failed, they created humans to cleanse. They built predators, Aylar explained. Then built the ones who would hunt them. Us, Myra whispered. Aylar nodded. You were the final solution. A race born to end apex threats. But in the end, your makers feared what you'd become. Scene 10. Final Echo. Return of the Core. As the human team left the Zarakai world, Kane looked back one last time. I remember now, he said. Not just the fights, the purpose, Myra asked. And what was it? To finish what others couldn't, he said. Not to rule. Not to survive. But to destroy anything that thinks it can't be destroyed. Far beneath Earth's surface, a red light blinked. The core was awake. Slayers online. Enemies detected. Defense protocol active. Scene 1. The awakening below in Antarctica. The ground shook. Seismographs worldwide picked up strange patterns. Not natural. Not tectonic. Beneath the old Zarakai ship, the core had fully awakened. Inside the deep chamber, hidden machines unlocked. A new voice echoed through the underground tunnels. Slayer directive activated. Target species, XOTH design. Preparing surface breach. Then, silence, but something was rising, and it was not human. Not Zarakai. Not anything known. Scene 2. The global alert in Geneva. Commander Ives stood in the war room with Mira, Kane, and General Reyes. A hologram showed red dots spreading across the planet. Underground openings, strange energy readings, and machines older than Earth's recorded history. These are not alien, Reyes said. They're ours or left. For us, Myra whispered. This is the real war. Kane clenched his fists. His voice had changed over the past week. Deeper, sharper. They're not here to test us. They're here to finish what they started. Scene 3. Slayers across the globe. Across Earth, the Slayer gene began to activate. Not in everyone. Only a few, some in silence. Some with pain. In Kenya, a child suddenly caught a falling tree with one hand. In Japan, a woman jumped 10 stories to save a stranger. In Brazil, an old man touched metal, and it melted. The world watched. The Slayers were not chosen. They were always there, sleeping. Now they were awake. Scene 4. The XOTH rise in the Mariana Trench. The deepest part of Earth, something broke the ocean floor. A black spire rose from the sea, covered in moving metal. From it came XOTH design creatures, biomechanical horrors. With no eyes, no mouths, just weapons. Each one moved with purpose. They were the builders of predators. The true apex. The Veline, watching from orbit, sent a final message. The cycle has returned. We are leaving. Do not call for help. And they vanished. Scene 5. Understanding the hunting. A deep chamber below the Alps. Mira and Ravi found the last piece of the puzzle. The core had uploaded its memory to their systems. Slayers were not heroes. Slayers were tools. Each generation we awaken when the XOTH return. Ravi looked at Myra. We were made not to evolve, but to reset. She nodded. Humanity is not the beginning of life. We are the end of the line. Scene 6. Kane's evolution. Kane trained alone in a hidden base. His body no longer needed rest. His skin could withstand plasma. His brain processed data like a machine. But it wasn't power that changed him most. It was memory. Now he saw his past lives, echoes of ancient Slayers. He remembered fighting on Saturn's moons. He remembered burning the last Zarakas fortress. Remembered standing in front of a massive XOTH hive and destroying it with a weapon only a human could use. Scene 7. The final weapon. The last chamber in Antarctica finally opened. Inside, a weapon unlike any seen before. A blade of pure energy. No buttons, no metal. It responded to one thing: blood. Kane reached for it. The blade ignited in his hand. Silent. Cold. Symbols glowed along its side. the 6 circles and 1 eye. Only one may lead the final hunt. Mira stepped back. "You're not a soldier anymore," she said. "You're something else." Kane answered, "I'm what they were afraid of." Scene 8. The XOTH strike cities fell, not from invasion, but extraction. The XOTH didn't kill at first. They took humans, machines, DNA. They were trying to rebuild something, trying to copy the Slayers. Or maybe correct their mistake. But each time they took, a Slayer activated nearby, drawn to the scent of war. And each time, only one side survived. Scene 9. Rally of the Blood. Kane sent a message. It played on every screen, every radio, every signal. If you feel stronger, if your dreams are not your own, if your skin heals, your mind sharpens, you are a Slayer. This is not a fight for survival. This is a hunt. Join us. Across the world, they came, young, old, forgotten, broken, but all of them, hunters. Scene 10. The war begins from the sky. The earth looked wounded. Lights flickered. Oceans boiled in places. Strange structures pierced the clouds. In orbit, satellites picked up a growing pulse from the planet's core. It was counting down. The core was preparing something final. A voice echoed one last time. Cycle 9. Final hunt engaged. Apex elimination required. Slayers proceed. Kane looked to the horizon. The ground cracked open. The XOTH came, and behind Kane, 1,000 Slayers stepped forward. Weapons ready, eyes glowing. Blood awake. It was time. Scene 1. The countdown ends at 0:00 GMT. Every underground core across Earth spoke the same words. Apex engagement complete. Final hunt unlocked. Begin extinction cycle. The Earth shook. Volcanoes rumbled. The sky darkened. But it wasn't destruction. It was activation. Humanity's final defense had awakened. Slayer beacons lit up across continents, invisible signals, reaching the minds of those chosen to fight. Scene 2. The final enemy revealed in the heart of the Mariana Trench. The XOTH spire opened like a flower. From inside rose something massive. Not a machine, not a creature, but both. The prime XOTH, taller than a skyscraper, covered in thousands of moving parts. Its core glowed with stolen human DNA. It had been studying Earth, learning, copying. "We made the Slayers to stop this," Mira said. Kane replied, "No, we are the thing that stops it." Scene 3. The battle begins in a desert outside Cairo. 300 Slayers waited. The ground cracked. The air shimmered. XOTH legions crawled over the horizon. Thousands, maybe millions, but Slayers didn't wait. They attacked, fast, coordinated, silent. No orders. No panic, only instinct. For the first time in 30,000 years, the true war returned. Scene 4. Kane vs. Prime XOTH. Kane landed on top of the Pacific Spire. The Prime XOTH turned to face him. It spoke without sound, straight into his mind. "We built you. You were never meant to remember, only to reset the world." Kane stepped forward, blade glowing in his hand. "You failed to understand one thing," he said. "Humans don't follow programming. We break it." And he leapt. Scene 5. Global war in the skies over South America. Slayers rode ships made of light, ancient tech that had reawakened. In Siberia, a group of Slayers built a dome to protect thousands of civilians. In Australia, an elder Slayer held back a wave of Zoth, with only his hands glowing red. Every continent was a battlefield, but humanity wasn't running, they were winning. Scene 6. The Slayer truth back in Geneva. Mira unlocked the final memory of the core. It showed the moment humans were created. A meeting of ancient beings, the first architects speaking in symbols and thought. They feared what the XOTH had become. So they made something worse. Not cruel, not evil, just impossible to beat. They made us. Apex solution. Slayer strain successful. Side effect. Unpredictable evolution. Mira stared at the screen. They didn't expect us to become human. Scene 7. The turning point, the prime. Zoth stabbed Kane through the chest. He fell, coughing blood. The blade faded, but instead of dying, his body adapted. The wound closed. The prime XOTH tilted its head. Confused. Kane smiled. Pain is not weakness, he whispered. It's memory. He roared. His eyes burned with the force of 10,000 slayers before him. And the final battle began. Scene 8. Humanity's answer. The core sent a final command to every slayer. Unleash Apex Override. Burn the reset. This world belongs to you. A wave of light spread across Earth. Every slayer unlocked their full potential. Weapons changed. Bodies evolved. Time slowed for them, and only them. The XOTH couldn't adapt fast enough. They started to fall. Scene 9. Death of the Prime. Kane faced the Prime XOTH-1. Last time. It tried to escape into space, to rebuild, to hide, but Kane jumped higher than gravity should allow. He slammed the blade into its core. This ends with us. The explosion lit the sky brighter than the sun. The Prime XOTH fell. Earth was silent. Scene 10. The new legacy. Days later. Earth was rebuilding. Cities rose again. Slayers returned to quiet lives. The core shut down, its job done. But the world had changed. Now, humanity knew what it was, not just survivors. Not just thinkers or builders, but something the universe feared. Something made to protect, and, if needed, to end anything that became too powerful. Mira stood beside Kane on a hill outside Geneva. Do we wait for the next enemy? She asked. Kane smiled. No, he said. We are the final enemy. And now the galaxy knows. Final message to viewers, optional for YouTube ending. This is not just a story about humans defeating monsters. It's about what we become when we remember what we were made for. The galaxy once feared us. And now, it will never forget why. Humanity wins again.